What's up, guys? This is Shout here for the Team Fantasy Football League Commissioner Cody. We're here with your Week 1 recap. Um, with that being said, there's not much to really say other than it's the recap, and it was quite a week in Week 1 of the NFL. Lots of overreacting on my part because I don't know what to do some places, but that's neither here nor there. I am proud to say that I went 3-4 in my own leagues. I could have gone 1-6, so glass half full. Anyway, moving on. We'll start up with our one of our matchups of the week. We always start with defending champion Phil. Well, we will always start with the defending champion Phil. Always the defending champion is who we'll start with. Um, and like I said, one of the matchups of the week in the preview video, number 4 Phil versus number 2 Scott. Both scored over 200 points, which is always intriguing in this fancy matchup because everybody's glued to the projections to see if anybody lives up to it or falls apart. What I'm gonna do for all the before I get into specific matchups, just to keep the videos rather quicker, we have 16 teams, so eight games to get through. It's gonna be rather time consuming. So in front of me here, I have the top 3 performers. I'll give my 2 cents on those performers and the teams and the matchups, and then we'll move on just to keep it rather short, as I'm about a minute and a half in. So anyway, Phil versus Scott, defending champion Phil, defending 2-time champion Phil against 2-time champion Scott. Battle of the 2-timers, and I think it lived up close enough to expectations. Scott comes up victorious, 233.63 to 207.56 from Phil. Phil's top 3 scorers were Mahomes, 47.83, Antonio Brown with 25.95, and Miles Sanders with 21.05. Scott's top 3 were Tom Brady with 43.16, Jared Goff with 42.27, and Christian McCaffrey with 32.95. Just based on these these numbers alone, what this tells me is Phil just didn't. He had more consistency throughout his lineup, and like I said, I don't have the lineups right here in front of me because that'll take way too long, and I'll end up going through them all. And this tells me the Scots was more top heavy comparatively. Now Scott scored an extra 25 points, give or take. So, you know, you can look at it for what it is. But when Phil has the highest score of the matchup, and then his next 2 guys go 25 and 21, it kind of tells you. And he scores 207. It's not like they fell off after that. It's just they were consistent up and other than Patrick Mahomes. Um, you know, Scott was probably consistent too. I haven't taken the time to look, and I'm not going to on the recaps. Um, so anyway, moving on. Shout out to Scott. He is now the number 1 2-time champion and the only back-to-back champion. So shout out to Scott for that as well. Phil, better luck next time. Moving on, we have number 9. Number 9, Joe, versus number 12, Hobert. Excuse me. Hobert takes this one pretty handedly. 211.3 to 161.82. Just a rough start for Joe. Hobert definitely overachieving, at least for my predictions as far as the players and everything. So shout out to Hobert for proving me wrong yet again. I seem to doubt Hobert, and I seem to be wrong more times than not. So shout out to you for proving me wrong. Not that I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just here to talk about my league and, maybe go viral saying the wrong thing sometimes. So, whatever. Anyway, so we have Joe, his top 3 performers, so 24.65, CeeDee Lamb, Bobby Wagner with 19 points, and Zach Wilson with 17.92. Hobert with Jameis Winston, 46.12. Melvin Gordon with 26.55, and Justin Herbert with 21.48. So here's what jumps out at me first is, I know off the top of my head, Joe has Jerry Jeudy and Brandon Ayuk, which Jerry Jeudy, we all know, got hurt, and Brandon Ayuk didn't play. He played, but he didn't play. And Bobby Wagner was his second best performer, and he's a linebacker. So with 19 points, solid for a linebacker, but you don't have any help anywhere else on your roster, and that's going to hurt you, unfortunately. Um, you know, hopefully you can get yourself back into it next week, or the weeks going forward, or heck, maybe you just invest in the future and just tank and trade everybody off. Whatever you want to do. I'm winning this year. I want to, but I don't know. Moving on to Hobert, having Jameis's 46, with your top three, you probably would have won anyway. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. Jameis with the 46, Melvin with 26. I'm not sold that Melvin's going to do it all season like that, but that remains to be seen. Ride it while you can. Hopefully you get a better game from Herbert, just because 21.48, that's decent, but not for quarterbacks in my league. So, shout out to Hobert for proving me wrong again. Having a solid, consistent team, because he put up 200 points and, 46 from his highest scorer, and the rest are 20s and the teens. So just overall solid on that front. At least from the top three, as I said. Moving on, we have Greg, number 5 of last week's power rankings, and Doug at numbers 15 at last week's power power rankings, and the separation for the for the power rankings pretty much tells it all. Greg handedly wins this 244.38 over Doug's 141.84. Greg's top 3 performers: Jalen Hurts with 41.01, Joe Mixon with 33.25, and Tyler Lockett with 29. Doug's top 3 performers were Cooper Kupp with 26.8. I think that's Miles Jack, linebacker for Jacksonville, maybe, for 13.5, and then Logan Thomas with 12. You kind of knew that this matchup was in the bag before it even started. Barring some major miracle for Doug, he didn't actually have a starting quarterback. I mean, he had Trey Lance in there, which, to his credit, they scored touchdowns. And as I said in the chat, watch out. One of those 2 rookies that he has, you only have 2 quarterbacks in my league. One of those 2 are bound to start here shortly. They both did score last week. So, they both have bright futures from what I can see and everything. But it's not going to help you right now. So until that happens, you're going to be firmly in the bottom. And, just by looking at the top 3, as I had said, Greg had the most points this week out of anybody, and their top 3 performers were 41, 33, and 29. So you can just imagine how consistent their entire roster was. So shout out to them. They came back with a vengeance. They had one of the hottest endings to the regular season last year. They were on fire. And here they are, just boom, right back into it. So watch out for Greg, because they're going to be coming. They have a solid team. Moving on, we have number 7 Brandwagon to number 16 Kyle. Brandwagon wins 219.48 to Kyle's 137.63. Brandwagon's top 3 performers were Dak with 42.82, Daniel Jones 26.48, and Chris Godwin with 26. Oh, here come the odds. At least I made it about halfway. Kyle's best performers were Nick Chubb with 25.85, Sterling Shepard with 25.3, and Jamar Chase with 24.15. Before I get into the top 3s, I just want to say I properly projected the power rankings between Doug and Kyle, considering Doug didn't have a starting quarterback and he outscored Kyle by about 4 points. So, Scott, because I hope that you're going to watch this, because it's going to be short enough to where you might want to. You asked why I shit on Kyle. I don't shit on Kyle. I love Kyle, okay? Kyle provides a lot of entertainment in the fantasy world, and he's a very entertaining friend to have. But his team is the worst in the league, and I don't say that with any ill feelings toward Kyle. I just want to make that clear. Kyle, I love you, buddy. I'm so happy that you're in my league and you get to be a part of this. I hope that you have better seasons in the future, or a better team this year, or I hope you get a couple wins, Kyle. But it's not looking too good right now, okay? Your top 3 performers were very solid, but the rest of it, I don't know what happened. Brandwagon, your team's solid, dude. You got Dak. I mean, Daniel Jones is going to have to throw it. I don't know if I like Daniel Jones anymore, to be honest. I'm glad I got rid of him last year. And Chris Godwin solid as well. 219 points, and those are your top three. You just had a solid lineup. At least, like I said, this is all based on the top threes. You can, talk about it in the chat if you'd like. With that being said, best of luck going forward, Kyle. I hope you get a couple wins. Not against me, but I hope you get a couple wins. Congratulations, Brandwagon. On to next week. Well, for them. Moving on to my matchup, we have number 6 Cody versus number 10 Liam. Cody wins this 233.7 to 216.92. Shout out to Darren Waller, the baller. Balls to the Waller. That's the team name. But anyway, we'll get to there. Top 3 performers for Cody was Russell Wilson with 39.71, Sam Darnold with 28.31, and Darren Waller, the baller, with 27.5. Like I said, I needed Waller and Tyson Williams to show out on Monday, and they both did that together, putting me up in a solid, I think it was, top 4 points for the week, something like that. So shout out to them for doing that. Waller with a 12th round value. Ooh, you guys let me have Russell Wilson in the second round, puts up 40 points. Oy. But no, with all seriousness, I'm very happy with my performance. Excuse me. Very happy with my performance. I just hope we can keep it up on a season-long basis. And like I said, Liam's one of them teams, or at least I said a lot last year, and I think I said in the recap, at least I let him know anyway. I think I did. Shit, I might just be talking out of my ass if I didn't talk to anybody about it. But Liam is always one of those, like having Derrick Henry on his team is like the ground and pound for football. Is like that's Liam's team. It's like every week you're gonna get a solid, like whatever the average is typically. And I haven't done math, so I'm not gonna say it's a specific average, but like Liam is always consistently right either in the middle or up above. He's always having a consistent team. So, and I think I said that in the draft recap. I can't remember, but like I said, I like how he came back and saved his team in the draft after the A.J. Dillon mishap. You put up 216.92 points. That's very solid. Unfortunately, Julio Jones didn't show up for you. Thank the Lord, because he's known to fuck me all the time. So I'm glad you get to get fucked. But your top 3 performers, Matthew Stafford with 40.39, Deebo Samuel with 34.9, and Marvin Jones with 21.94. Those are all solid That's not Marvin Jones either. Jesus. Mac Jones with 21.94. Those are all solid top 3s. Unfortunately, wasn't as solid as my team. Anyway, Liam, shout out to you for, like I said, making a comeback after that A.J. Dillon pick, and still putting up a very respectable 216 points. So shout out to you for that. And moving on, we have Dylan, number 11 versus Jay, number 13. Whoops. I probably should write them down. Jay, number 14. Last week's power rankings. Jay comes out victorious, 215.32 to 182.87 for Dylan. Dylan's top 3 performers were Derek Carr with 31.8, Joe Burrow with 24.49, Keenan Allen with 19. Jay had Teddy Bridgewater with 30.01, DeAndre Hopkins with 26.3, and Carson Wentz with 25.24. I was a little questionable about Jay's team, just, overall. Maybe not. I don't know. At this point, I'm just talking out of my ass. But he definitely, proved me wrong. I had obviously I wasn't a big fan because he was number 14 on the power rankings going into the week. So Jay, I apologize for that. You definitely proved me wrong. You put up in the top half in points, let alone winning, obviously. So that puts you in the top half anyway. So, and your keepers were solid for 30, 26 to 25. Both your quarterbacks are on there. I mean, 215 points. That's very solid. And, Dylan, you put up a solid score. I know 182 is not exactly, especially with the way the things are looking now, it's not exactly the ideal goal, but where you were last year, and like I said, I liked your draft. So, I don't think that you're in a bad position. I think that I don't have the teams in front of me, so I mean I could click, but I'm not gonna do all that. I'm trying to make this quick for everybody to watch and enjoy and all that fun stuff. So, better luck next week, Dylan. But like I said, I like your team and I like the pieces that you have on it. So hopefully it pays off in the future. Jay, like I said, great start to the league. Get yourself 1-0 with a solid 215 points. So there's not much I can really say about that, and I'm gonna move on. Moving on. We have number 8, Craig, versus, I think Jerry was number 13. Yeah, we put Jerry at number 13. So our top three for, so Craig wins 229.47 to Jerry's 203.007. Craig's top three performers were Amari Cooper with 39.9, DeAndre Swift with 28.15, and Corey Davis with 26.7. Jerry's top three performers were I made it so long. Tyrod Taylor with 30.54, Trevor Lawrence with 30.13, and TJ Hawkinson with 25.7. And actually, I'm going to click into this. just because. So it was a solid win for Craig, of course. I just want to see something. How many points? Okay, so Gronk put up a solid 29 points. Well, shit, now I feel real bad. So I gave Jerry a little bit of advice because I'm not a big Gronk guy, and it didn't end up working out. Actually, there's nothing that would have happened that would have made you win, because if you would have took somebody out, the math, it wouldn't have worked out. So I don't feel nearly as bad as I did about 2 seconds ago. So that's good. Because you would have lost by a couple points anyway by the way the swaps would have worked. But Jerry's first week playing fantasy football, and he almost comes out on top. His goal this season was to win 1 or 2 games. And I told him, and I told the league that, not the league, but I told the video that his team was better than that. And he clearly can see it now. He has solid top 3 performers. His bottom kind of fell out a little bit. Gronk would have made it a lot closer, things like that. But now that you're kind of getting a grasp for things, I definitely see you definitely getting a couple dubs here throughout the season. Hopefully, again, not against me, but I hope you get a couple. Craig, I believe I said you had a really good draft. I mean, I put you in the top half as far as the power rankings post-draft. So, and DeAndre Swift, I was highly against, and you were right there. Amari Cooper, again, I was highly against. Just the injuries and question marks. I like to get guys that are for sure, at least going to play week 1. And I wasn't sure about either one of them. And I was way wrong there, so shout out to Craig for that. And I love me some Corey Davis. He won me a league. Oh, excuse me. Jeez Louise. He won me a league that I lost Fitzpatrick and Raheem Mostert. I still got the dubs. I played one of the 2 guys I had to face, and I did, and I won. But yeah, no, I like Craig's team. His top half is solid, and he scored up right where I had him in the power rankings, even higher than that. So shout out to Craig for that, and shout out to Jerry for embracing fantasy football, because I talk about it all the time. And better luck next week, but good start for you. Moving on to our final matchup of the week, our other matchup of the week, because the first matchup was a matchup of the week, and then second matchup was matchup of the week as well. Number 3 Eric versus number 1 Will. Eric comes out on top, 236.36 to Will's 197.63. Eric's top 3 performers. Eric's top 3 performers were Tyreek Hill with 40.35, Kirk Cousins with 32.24, and Adam Thielen with 30.2. Will's top 3 were Kyler Murray with 44.91, and Lamar Jackson with 24, and Alvin Kamara at 23.1. My takeaway from this matchup, watch out for Eric's team. There's the first part. There's a reason I had him in the top 4. He was number 3 to be exact, but I mean, he wins this rather handily, mainly because his keepers, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Alvin Kamara, all three players that I have just named, were his top three performers. After that, I don't think anybody scored more than like 15 or something. I haven't looked at this specific number, but um, if he didn't have his keepers, he wouldn't even have been in this matchup. And that's absurd because Terry McLaurin, Robert Woods, um, I don't know who else is on his team off the top of my head, but like those are good players to fill out the rest of your roster with these three, and nothing happened. It's not his fault. I mean, maybe it is. I haven't looked deep into it, but when your three best players, that's great. Your three best players were your keepers. That's great, but what about the rest of it? Nothing you can do. Just highly unfortunate, and it will unfortunately be reflected in the power rankings in the next video. I will say though, with the power rankings, because after week one, majority of it, there's one thing that's not in score order, like from highest to lowest, just because it's week one. But for the most part, it's in score order. So we'll get into that next video, but I just wanted to say that. Only 21 minutes for, just a quick little ramble about 16 teams. So I think that's not too bad. I probably could have made it 20 minutes without all the yawning. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, reach out. I'm going to be recording the preview and power rankings video after this. And yeah, so stay tuned. I'll see y'all soon.